All right, Sistas fans. Now, I was looking over my video list and I was thinking, you know what? I had almost like 5 separate videos alone from the fact that Zach, once he sells the stock, and based on the trailer for next week, it looks like he will take the advice of the bank employee and sell the stock. So he'll have almost $800,000 in his account, $787,000 to be exact, but you could argue it's $787 plus the $100 he left in his bank account, because remember, he put all but $100 in the stock because Maurice said you have to have at least $100 in your account so it doesn't shut down. So it'll be $787 $100 in his account. Well, sorry about that. That was just funny to think about. But I was talking about, okay, what would he do with the money? Would Karen call him up? Will Sabrina tell people about the money? Will he lose the money due to the illegal stock information? Or, and will he, who deserves the money and whatnot? So this video is going to encompass a lot of themes. That way I'm not flooding the channel with like 8 different videos when I don't need to. So this might be on the preachy side. It might be on the lengthy side. So I suggest you kick back and relax. Maybe you're washing dishes, you're taking a drive to work, and you could just go ahead and listen to this video because of the fact that it really is a lot to take in. Now, let me just say up front, I hope Zach does not lose this money. I hope Zach does not lose this money, because we know it's a theme in all Tyler Perry shows and movies. Whenever it seems like a character is coming up, something happens to bring them back down. Maybe it's a bad habit. Maybe it's the consequence or karma of one of their previous decisions that comes back to haunt them. Perhaps they got the money through ill-gotten gains. I mean, that was Hannah's whole thing. That was her soapbox of the haves and the have-nots. If you got money or whatever through devilish or sinful ways, you'll lose that money quicker than you got it. Now, I've seen various posts and tweets about this. Zach should stay with Fatima. Fatima's the one who gave him that money to invest to begin with. False. This isn't to rag on Fatima. This isn't to put Fatima down, but I just wanted to put the Fatima fans in their place. Season 1, towards the end, you might not remember her because season 1 was, even though technically speaking, it hasn't been that long ago, but when you go to like Wikipedia and look at the air dates for some of these episodes, it's like, damn, it's really been that long. Honestly, I feel like we've gotten way more sisters within the span of less than 2 years than we did with the haves and the have-nots when they originally aired on OWN. But Miss Lisa, who is Karen's mother, sat down with Zach towards the end of season 1 and introduced him to her boyfriend Chris, who makes a lot of money. Basically, we're talking millions here. He was actually an ex-con like Zach and was able to work in construction until he figured out, you know what? I need to figure out how I can become, one of the top dogs in the game and have people working under me in order to make some money. So basically, what happened is he talked with Zach, and I'll never forget. It's like, hey, tell me about this game. Tell me how to get in. And they went to commercial break. I'm like, hell, I want to know how to make $1 million. So in season 2, Zach was on his bicycle going to the first chain breaker meeting, and that's when he got hit by Fatima's car. Even though Fatima, I feel, wasn't the one at fault, Zach was the one who was riding through the parking lot at night with the bicycle, no kind of flasher on or anything. Fatima was on the phone, but it was the car phone, so it wasn't like she was looking down and texting. She was driving slowly in the parking lot, and that's when Zach popped out right in front of her. So anyway, they go into the meeting, and it's like, oh, it's you? Yeah. So they meet each other there. He worked on the house after hours at the airport and made the money. Fatima delivered the 20,000. Was it 25,000? Yeah, I think it was 25 because he gave 5,000 to Karen and then put $20,000 in the bank aside from that 100 on the stock. So yeah, the $25,000 that he received from Fatima, he worked for. Fatima delivered the money. Fatima didn't give him that money. So just to keep that in perspective, Zach worked on the house that sold and he earned that money. Yes, like, Zach actually tried to pay Fatima for, like, hey, I stayed with you, you fed me and that kind of stuff, so here's the money for that. Fatima gave it back. So guys, just because Zach has almost $800,000, he doesn't owe Fatima anything. He actually tried to pay her, but she didn't want it. So let me just put that out there. Fatima is not the one responsible for him making that money. Zach earned that money. It was Miss Lisa who introduced Zach to her boyfriend Chris, who introduced him to the Chainbreaker Association, which he became a part of. So let me just put it up front. Fatima does not deserve any of that money. Zach doesn't need to just stay with her because he has the money and she put him up and everything. He tried to pay her back, but she wouldn't accept it. So that's the first thing. Fatima is not entitled to any of this money. All right. Next stage here. We're talking Karen. We know that Zach pretty much broke it down. I loved how that's the one thing I want to give Tyler Perry credit for more than anything else. Tyler can take a character who is heavily disliked, and then in the very next season, if not the same season, sometimes it's like by the mid-season hiatus, and then when the show comes back for the back half, he can take a character who's despised and then make them very sympathetic. And I feel like that's Zach. In season 1, I could not stand Zach. He had good comedic timing. I didn't like him with Karen. I felt like I wasn't really shipping him and Danny. I definitely got more of a sibling vibe from them. He had some great comedic moments with Danny, like Maurice had great comedic moments with Sabrina. And I'm talking season 1 here. Because Zach, it's like every time it seemed like things were going well for Karen with Aaron, Zach would just roll up to her apartment on that damn bicycle. Then by season 2, when Zach is actually trying to do better for himself, I'm like, you know what? Go on, Zach. That's what I'm talking about. Now, a lot of people forgot, because I get it. The Fatima thing, or the Zatima shipping, literally just came into the show and stole it. It's like if you watch WandaVision, and by the end of, what was it, episode 8, when Agatha All Along came in, it's like WandaVision has some great iconic theme songs, but then Agatha was like, no, hold the phone. Let me show you who really running this thing. And she just stole the damn show. #1 on iTunes. I feel like the same thing can be said about Fatima and her storyline with Zach. But people who were rooting for Zach so much were despising Karen, but also neglecting the fact that Zach was a shitty boyfriend. Cheating, he was a moocher, a user. Basically, he was sucking the life financially out of Karen. Now, in this particular scenario, we know that for a fact, as soon as he got that $25K, he gave $5,000 to Karen. It's like, look, now you know I didn't do the credit card debt, so here's $5,000. I owe you $77,000 for everything for, like, electricity, food, clothes, all those years of me not paying rent. I love how we learn character traits from Zach. Like, he's good with numbers and money. He just never fully applied it to a legit life. He was doing criminal activity, but thankfully he's using it for his benefit now. So $72,000 is what's left on his debt. He paid $5,000 of the $77,000, so $72,000. Now, the more recent episode showed us that Isaiah, I believe is the name of the former employee at the salon who quit to start his own salon, took a bunch of Karen's customers with him and is offering a cheaper price. As a result, this is cutting into Karen's books and she's not going to be making as much money. On top of that, this hasn't been mentioned since season 1, but Andy was the one who put up a lot of money so Karen could actually get her salon. And, Karen's working hard to end up paying her back as well. If you watch Bruh, the same thing can be said about John in the sandwich shop. His bruhs put up the money for him to start the sandwich business, and it's not really doing as well as he would think, so he could pay them back. But the same could be true about Karen and Andy. So let's put a brief pin in the Karen discussion and talk about what's going down at the bank. Now, I've already done my trailer breakdown for the next episode of Sistas. And in the trailer, the employee who's speaking to Zach about the whole situation with the stock, how'd you know about it? I didn't know. And then he walks out of the bank. And Sabrina approaches this woman and asks, what is it? He walked out with $787,000. What? And then later on the phone, we see Sabrina, I believe, talking with Karen. But all we know is that Karen says he's legal, and that's it. So I don't know if she's talking with Sabrina on the phone, because initially I thought she said, is it illegal? Is it legal? You know, like, let's say if Sabrina was talking to Karen about the money, and then Karen hears like, wait, because again, he does have a checkered past. So it's like, wait, is it legal for him to have all that money? So hopefully that's not the case, because remember, that's breaching a lot of bank policies. And it's just funny how there are so many. I mean, at this point, I feel like there are so many reasons for Sabrina to get fired from her job, but she just doesn't. So for her to actually breach the trust of a client-employee relationship by well, not even an employee, because remember, Zach has never done a transaction with Sabrina. With Maurice, yes. With this new character who works at the bank, yes, but never Sabrina. She's a manager, so yes, it's well within the policies for her to know what's going on. But for her to then get on the phone to talk with her girls about it, I feel is a huge breach of trust between a business and its customers. And I don't like that at all. So here's my biggest fear. I believe Karen told Pam to call all the customers, or at least find out all the customers who Isaiah stole. And I don't know, maybe try to get them back or something along those lines. But, you know, brand loyalty, you know, that's important. But basically, I feel like she's going to end up in a situation where she is not going to be able to get out of this financial slump. As a result, she's going to come knocking on Zach's door for some money. Because, oh, wow. But Karen, I gave you $5,000. I said I'd pay you back the rest, you know, when I got, you know, the money. Just because he got $787, you know, I don't really know about stocks, but I'm assuming there will be some taxes or something along those lines. So, you know, there's that aspect of it. Not to mention, okay, you know what? Let me save that one thought in the back of my head for later in the video. But I feel like Karen's going to get into a situation where she's going to need money and then go to Zach for money, but he's not going to have it. Because that leads into the next step of this discussion. Zach loses the money. I don't think he would do anything dumb, but I don't want to say this is Zach we're talking about. I'm more so saying this is Tyler Perry writing we're talking about. He got illegal stock information. I could be wrong because it's been so long ago, but didn't Martha Stewart go to jail for a similar situation? Illegal financial, you know, a situation like that, and she went to jail. I feel like Zach is in a David and Goliath battle. He actually did something he shouldn't have done, working with people he doesn't even know. And I feel like Tony said, what, hey, me and my husband are getting a divorce, yada yada yada. He's been doing this illegal stock stuff for years. So it might be noticeable that this random black guy, yes, random black guy, ended up getting a huge windfall from this stock. How the hell would he know? And then, you know, with hotel cameras and everything, they could say, wait a minute, he went to the hotel into my wife's room and she gave him that information. What the hell is going on? Thankfully, Zach used his money on this, so maybe he'll get away with it. But remember, Tony, the name of the woman who gave him the information, she was like, hey, I can give you, what was it, like $50,000 or something like that, and you can open up a separate account and then play the stock game I tell you, because I feel like I might not get anything in this divorce, so this could be my only method of making sure that I get a huge windfall on my own. Because Zach is like, wait, you don't even know me and you would trust me with $50,000 to walk out of this room? Yes. So thankfully he didn't take any of that money. He just took the information that he already acquired and then used that, you know, to make his money in the stock. You know, if anything else, I feel like, you know, I would love for Zach to buy a bunch of food and then get Preston to cook it up, because Preston didn't tell him what to do, but he just said, hey, bro, you know, if you have a good feeling about it, then I say do it. Just know what you're getting into. So I feel like, and that goes into the later part of the video. I talk about, who is owed by Zach, if you will. Him and Preston should have a guy's night. Just go on a bromance date. Well, I don't mean to sound that in a weird way, but, like Corey and Sean off of Boy Meets World. I feel like him and Preston are kind of like that. They're just bros hanging out. So I would really love to see these two have a great night. But in any case, when it comes to Zach losing the money, if it's discovered that he got illegal stock information, he could actually lose that money. Then going back to Karen, if Karen decides to hit him up for some cash because, she's in a financial situation, she's in a bind, but then Zach is like, I don't have any money. Well, I just heard you had almost $800,000. How the hell would you hear that? And then Sabrina's mouth, her blabbing it will get out, and then the whole situation will go from, Zach, you had this amount of money, but now you don't have any. Why is that, Zach? Illegal stock information. So then it could get back to Fatima, and then she could dump him, and then he loses everything, and then he's out on the street again. So this could all stem from Sabrina blabbing her damn mouth. That's what I think. And even worse is, let's get to like the last section of this video, which is in regards to, like, who does Zach owe and what Zach needs to do next. Now, at the beginning of the video, I already explained how Fatima isn't entitled to any of the money. And during kind of like the middle of the video, I discussed how Zach already knows that he owes Karen. This part of the video, like I just said, is about, like who's owed money and what Zach needs to do next. Let me just say up front, I pray Zach gets his own place. It doesn't have to be a house. It could be like a temporary lease on an apartment until he figures things out, because there's no need to blow like $200,000 right now, save up and figure out what his next move is going to be. I mean, with that amount of money, he could actually quit working at the airline and focus 100% on chain breakers. Yeah, you could argue that is a bit of a risky move because he's at the top of the list now, but with people like Hayden who could easily get him off the list by, some underhanded tactics. Fatima did make sure that, Hayden will make it right, but you just never know. But I'd say he could focus on chain breakers and make a lot more money in a faster fashion, because remember, he made $25K working after hours after the airport in order to work chain breakers to make that money. So imagine him not working at the airport, able to put in maybe 8 to 10 hours on the house or property that chain breakers is working on. He can make a lot more money. That's what I hope he does. I hope he makes those kind of decisions where it's like, okay, let me just put money in savings. Let me, do this and that. Maybe learn about the stocks legally, and perhaps I can do this kind of thing again, where hopefully he's not going to put $786,900 and keep $100 in his account, but learn the stock game, because the man is good with numbers. I feel like if Zach applies himself, he can learn about this stuff legally and do this, because I'm just scared of him losing the money because of this illegal stock game. Like, I will be nervous as hell. Like, it's like if you find $20 on the street and pick it up, except in this case it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. Is it worth being rich if you're constantly looking over your shoulder or looking at your phone or email about getting a text or alert or voicemail about, hey, we're the such and such department in the government and we found out that you did this illegally and we're taking everything and you're going to jail? Is it worth it? But then again, a lot of these companies and crap, they get money illegally and under the table. Nobody bats an eye or whatever. But in any case, I feel like Zach should be smart. I don't think he should blow this money. I honestly wish he didn't tell anybody about the money. But I just feel like I feel like the best decision for him at this given moment is to consider quitting the airport job and working full time at Chain Breakers. That's honestly what I feel is best, assuming he keeps the money. Danny keeps saying you owe me, which I feel is bull crap. Maybe it's a couple $1,000, because the way Danny mooches off her girls, you would think that if they even gave her half the grief that she gives Zach, then she would pay them up. And it's just crazy to me, because I'm still standing on the soapbox of Zach paid Danny's ass what was either a month in advance of rent or half a month. And she only kept him there a couple of days before kicking him out. Because remember, he was staying with Fatima for a lot. and he was barely over there at Danny's, and then all of a sudden he gets kicked out, and Danny's the kind of person to constantly remind him, you owe me, don't forget your old Karen. I hate people like that. So hopefully Zach pays Karen off. I mean, maybe he doesn't have to pay her all $72,000 at once, but hey, here's another $10,000 or whatever, and go from there. But like I said, my biggest fear is that Karen's going to come crawling to Zach for money, and then he's not going to have it because of this reason or that reason. But I do feel like overall, Zach needs to do what's best for Zach. Get himself his own place to live, because even though and I like him with Fatima, but I feel like arguably Fatima has a lot of work to do on herself. And it's understandable. You had a crippling breakup and you don't want to feel again. Zach is the first guy you've been with to make you feel something since that one guy broke her heart, by breaking up with her on a Friday, then marrying his fiance on the next day. So it's like, if you're constantly, even though Fatima doesn't talk down to Zach, she constantly puts it in his face, I don't want you, this and that, even though Zach knows it's not true. I would not want to be with someone who questions whether or not they want to be with me. Like, there's a difference between being, I'm feeling 3 different guys. That's, one thing. But for her to not know what she's feeling, I feel like if nothing else, Zach just needs to give her time. And if Fatima does come around, that's great. But if there's constantly going to be I don't want to, you do. We have amazing sex. And then they're like, I don't want you. I would just leave. Like, I still say, I wish Zach had left the apartment like Hayden did. And then he woke up the next morning to that surprise of all that money in his bank account. And then I wouldn't answer the damn phone for nobody. So I just feel like I would hate for Zach to be in a situation where he's still hanging at Fatima's place. He hasn't done anything with the money productive, like get his own place. That way, when Karen comes around looking for money and he doesn't have it, or, well, then again, the argument could be made, well, Jeremy, if he gets his own house or an apartment and then he loses the money, wouldn't he lose where he's living at? True, but it depends. Like, maybe he paid 6 months in advance on a lease, or maybe he paid the house off. Because remember, he's still working at the airport and he's getting back at the top of the list of chain breakers, so he'll have money coming in. He'll just lose a huge chunk of money if he's discovered for having illegal stock information. So I just hope that Zach puts himself up. That way, if things fall through at Fatima, he won't have to deal with being told to get your shit and leave. He won't have to rely on staying at Danny's. He won't have to go over to Karen's. I just hope Zach does what's best for him. And like I said earlier, I joked about it, but I would love for him and Preston to have a guys night. Fatima tripping, man. Danny, she's just been acting weird. Let's go, go out for a steak or whatever. You know what? You cooked. Like I said earlier, I'm like, either Zach can get the stuff and Preston can cook it, or hell, maybe they'll go out for a steak dinner, go out to a movie, just hang, be bros. I would love that. I think I even talked about it in either my episode review, or hell, maybe I talked about this with another fan. I'm like, even though Calvin's still in the show for whatever reason, I'll be cool with Calvin, Preston, and Zach getting like a room, like an apartment loft or whatever together, and just living together. I feel like their dynamic would be interesting, to say the least. A cowboy, a feminine, and a street dude. I'd watch that show. All right, guys, but that's really all I got to say for this particular video. I would love for Miss Lisa to come back to have a talk with Zach, not about getting back together with Karen, but just to say I'm proud of you. You're putting your head on straight and doing the right thing. But I feel like more than anything else, Fatima aside, Karen aside, and everybody else, I'm just talking Zach. I would hate for him to lose that money, because I feel like if nothing else, it might send him down the wrong path. Because like he told Danny, one of my favorite Zach moments, even though I'm not the biggest fan of the season 3 as a whole, one of my favorite Zach moments was when he was telling Danny about how I always try to do something. Well, anytime I try to work hard and do things the right way, I end up losing out. This is when he saw the stocks crash and he only has $100 in his account. And then Danny, even though it was a bit too comedic, she does take a moment to say, that's the one thing I admire about you. You keep trying. You don't ever stick around too long complaining. You actually try to do something better. You might be at the same place you were when you started, but at least you try to do better. So I would hate for Zach to have another loss again, because he got in over his head. Remember, he was doing his job. He was being a good steward of his time. He was working above and beyond to help out the customers at the airport to make tips. So I would hate for him to do a good deed, get illegal information, get the money, and then lose it. So that's really all I got to say. And like I said, this saved me from doing a separate video about what's Karen going to do about the clients. Should Zach stay with Fatima because he has the money, because she deserves a cut? Will Zach pay back Karen what he owes? Like I said, I just saved myself from doing 3 to 5 redundant videos by cramming them all together here, and I hope you enjoy it. So let me know your thoughts. I really didn't talk much about Andy because, well, I don't really care what she has to say. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Slow and steady wins the race. So there we go. Zach, the reason I respect Zach is because he wasn't letting emotional drama influence his decision. He was working hard at his job. He wasn't allowing Karen or Fatima to get inside of his head. He was just working hard to make this paper, and I respect that. So thanks so much for tuning in. Devel does a hell of a job. That's why I did say about the Sistas meet and greet, why I'm disappointed I'm not vaccinated and can't go. Well, I can't go because I'm not vaccinated. I would love, as much as I love me some Jasmine and Novi Brown, I would love to talk with Devel. Just heck of a guy. But thanks so much for tuning in, as I said before. And with that being said, I'll catch you all in the next video.